The creativity of Sipho Mbule is one thing that we are all happy for, because we know that there are not many Sipho Mbules out there. There are not many players of Sipho Mbule's qualities, and at his best, only few of his colleagues are able to qualify, rather, to tie his shoelaces, because he's just a different beast in that midfield, Sipho Mbule, when he's disciplined and focused. And so when Orlando Pirates announced Sipho Mbule, I think almost everyone was caught by surprise, because this is the player who was heavily linked with Kaizer Chiefs. And then all of a sudden, Orlando Pirates, they announced Sipho Mbule. But then for those who have previously heard Abdeslam Ouaddou talking highly of Sipho Mbule and being one of the two players that he would want to sign for Marumo Gallants, including Neo Maema, then for those who've heard him before, then they already knew. They already knew that the announcement of Sipho Mbule a day after Abdeslam Ouaddou could be that the coach had more influence. He made a recommendation for the club to bring him Sipho Mbule, and considering that Mbule was a free agent, that allowed Orlando Pirates to made things a little bit easier for Orlando Pirates to bring in Sipho Mbule. And then when you talk about Sipho Mbule, we are talking about a player who went through a proper development, from Free State to SuperSport United Academy, and working under the leadership of the legendary Godfrey Moswetsa there at SuperSport United as head of youth football or development, academy football at SuperSport United. And I have been fortunate in the past with my work on radio to talk to Mr. Godfrey Moswetsa, and he spoke highly of Sipho Mbule and Tebza Mokoena, and he even talked about how they blooded these guys in that midfield with the likes of Renelo Lutsolanyane and Dean Fairman behind them, because they are playing mainly 4-3-3 at SuperSport United. And he spoke about the qualities of Sipho Mbule, and Sipho Mbule is one of the best players that we have in the country, and he scored a beautiful goal against TP Mazembe away in Lubumbashi. Not many teenagers can claim to have scored a goal against TP Mazembe, let alone away in Lubumbashi, the hostile Lubumbashi. And then this is the player who really have shown maturity beyond his age. Even now at the age of 27, Sipho Mbule is just entering his peak, and this is the right age that when you sign a player at this age, especially a player who went through good development, you know what you are signing. And I think Orlando Pirates, they are very happy with Sipho Mbule, because now this is an upgrade. Of all players that Orlando Pirates they have signed so far, I haven't seen anyone that I can regard him as an upgrade. But then Sipho Mbule will be an upgrade for Orlando Pirates. And in terms of creativity, Orlando Pirates have struggled at times against the opponents who are playing with their low block. Then you needed a player with the capacity to unlock defense, even those who are sitting deep. And I think Sipho Mbule is one of the players who will bring that dimension to the team, ability to find passes, invent angles, and find teammates in a crowded box, because he can probe, and he's got his own way of passing. Not many players they can pass like Sipho Mbule, because he's very unpredictable and he's very inventive, very creative in the final third. And Kabelo Dlamini is another player at Orlando Pirates who is very good at finding his teammates high up the pitch. But Sipho Mbule, Kabelo Dlamini is not the type of player who likes to run with the ball, eliminating people. But Sipho Mbule is one of those people with the arrogance and that confidence, ability with the ball at his feet to run at opponents, breaking down the lines with the ball at his feet, eliminating the opponents, trying to find teammates higher up the pitch. And I think Orlando Pirates, they've looked at it, and they noticed that since Abdeslam Ouaddou is the one who is a big fan of Sipho Mbule, and I believe that he really made a recommendation, and Sipho Mbule was free, they know that this is the player who's going to play a big role for Orlando Pirates going forward, because now Orlando Pirates, they haven't really had a player who can partner with a defensive midfielder, that he can play as a box-to-box number 8. Talente Mbata has been mainly playing with Maketleni Makaula, but then there are certain creative gifts that Talente Mbata doesn't have that can unlock stock defenses. Mbata has been very good. He did very well working, making sure that Makaula doesn't get overwhelmed in midfield defensively. But now going forward, Mbata, he's known for those long range shots outside the box. But then when the defense is sitting deeper, they're defending with a low block, you needed players like of Sipho Mbule's creativity who can come and help the team. And I strongly believe that this is the player who's going to help Orlando Pirates. And his tactical flexibility also helps in the sense that Orlando Pirates can play different systems that will still have Sipho Mbule playing. Whether you play 4-4-2 diamond, you can put Mbule at the tip of the diamond as a number 10 behind the two strikers. We can also decide to play him on the side of the diamond. Also in a 4-3-3, he can be the advanced midfielder of the three. When you put maybe, let's say, Makatlini Makaula and you've got Masindi Namtachela there, or with Mbata in that midfield, and then you've got to give him the license to attack more, joining up the strikers and the two inverted wingers higher up the pitch. And so this is one of the advantages that Sipho Mbule will be bringing to them, because it's an upgrade. There is no player at Orlando Pirates currently, whether you're going to talk about Maswanganye, whether you're going to talk about Kabelo Dlamini or Karim Kimvuidi, who has the capacity of Sipho Mbule's carrying, rather the ball carrying capacity of Sipho Mbule, running with the ball, eliminating the opponents, and he's got the right physical profile. You know, he's not a player who can be easily bundled off the ball. He's a very strong player of nice low center of gravity that allows him really to be difficult to be shrugged off the ball. And even when recently Orlando Pirates were playing Sekhukhune United, he gave Makaula a lot of problems in that midfield. He was really unplayable against Orlando Pirates when they were playing for Sekhukhune United. He was a very troublesome in that midfield, and I think it also helped Orlando Pirates when even maybe, let's say, Abdeslam Ouaddou was recommending him. I think it is the game that was still fresh in the memory of Orlando Pirates management that this is the player that really they need to come and help the team to take the midfield to forward. And this is the player who has been around for some time. As I said, he played at Lubumbashi, he scored while he was still a teenager. And then he comes to this team, they've got Maswanganye, they've got Kimvuidi, they've got Ndlondo. And I think one player who is really under threat is Ndabeteta Ndlondo, because Ndlondo is that player who was supposed to be playing this role as a box-to-box midfielder in the number 8, playing next to a strong defensive midfielder. But then Ndlondo hasn't been able to play there. Mbata has been played there. But then also Mbata, who has been a regular, should a coach prefer to play with a 4-3-3, then he's only going to have a one defensive midfielder in the triangle, where you are going to have, let's say, Makaula sitting at the base. Then you are going to have more progressive players like Masindi Namtachela, like Sipho Mbule on the side of the triangle, while you are having the two wide forwards with a big center forward, with a center forward up top. Then that will allow Orlando Pirates to play more progressive football, having more angles in the 4-3-3, because it provides better angles in terms of passing, especially in a possession based game model. So this will help Orlando Pirates. Tactically, Sipho Mbule allows Orlando Pirates to play differently. It's one of the things that we'll be looking forward to, because we believe that he is one of the best players in the country, one of the best playmakers. And Orlando Pirates, they couldn't have done any better, really, signing a central midfielder of Sipho Mbule's capacity. Orlando Pirates, they don't have many players of this caliber. Karim Kimvuidi hasn't really covered himself with glory on consistent basis. That is why maybe if he was consistent, producing a sustained period of productivity every game rather than flashes of brilliance, maybe there wouldn't have been a need for Sipho Mbule. But because now this is the player of the highest quality who has bring something that the club doesn't have, that is why Orlando Pirates, they decided to go and bring Sipho Mbule. And then when you consider that the coach is a very big fan of Sipho Mbule, Abdeslam Ouaddou, we are expecting Sipho Mbule to play a massive role for Orlando Pirates going forward next season. He is going to be a big player for Orlando Pirates, and we're expecting him to play a lot of games, and he will have to try also. He will be playing with a point to prove, trying to get everything behind him. What happened, especially in his last games of the season at Sekhukhune United, he will try to make sure that he's become a better Sipho Mbule. He reinvent himself and become a better version of himself. And we all know that Sipho Mbule at his best, even into the national team, he can be back. He can be selected back to the national team, especially with the AFCON coming. AFCON coming in December, every player will be playing, looking to make sure that they get something. And I think with Hugo Bros having struggled a lot to find somebody who can bring the timbers, one is creativity, skills, and defense breaking mechanism. Sipho Mbule could be one of the candidates for Hugo Bros to take him to AFCON, should he come to Orlando Pirates and set the scene alight. But as it stands, there is no doubt that Sipho Mbule is arguably one of the players who's most likely to lead Orlando Pirates midfield, and he will transform Orlando Pirates midfield beyond recognition, because he's not only a new signing, he's an upgrade into this Orlando Pirates midfield. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe and drop your comment.